How proficient are you in firearms?
Oh, dude, I can rattle off like 3 headshots in about 4 seconds. Just click, 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 click.
Oh, Counter-Strike.
What were you talking about?
Real life? Terrorists win.
Blat, always hit your target with a gun.
We are back again at Stunt Ranch with Steve Wolf of StuntScience.tv. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thanks for coming out to play.
All right, now you made the extraordinary claim that you could take anyone, people who have never even held a gun before in their entire life, and after one lesson, their first shot will be a bullseye.
Promise.
Promise?
Promise. Promise.
Well, I don't know that you've ever encountered people as incapable as Brian and I.
I seek you out, actually.
So I assume the only way that's possible is that through your eyes, everyone who ever picks up a gun for the first time, they shoot everything wrong, right? What are they doing wrong?
Well, actually, people who've never shot a gun don't have bad habits. It's the people who've drilled bad habits into themselves year after year that are the ones that are the hardest to work with. If you know nothing about it, I'm gonna put your feet in the right position. I'm gonna put your hips in the right position. I'm gonna put your shoulders in the right position. I'm gonna set up all of the architecture that's necessary to engineer the movement of a bullet from here to there, to where you want it to go.
So a guy like me, who has very little experience with guns, is pretty much tabula rasa.
But I heard you're a hell of a ninja warrior with the nunchucks.
You're not supposed to say that on camera.
It angers the Lotus Society.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the basics.
All right.
I think it's interesting that the first thing you brought up is body position, because what everybody thinks of is line up the sight, squeeze the trigger, right?
Right, so we don't squeeze triggers because you get very little milk out of them in the first place.
Okay, now you brought this up before. You are very precise in your language. Why is that?
Let's say we were talking about trigger control, which is the physical manipulation of the trigger from its inert position to the position that it's in when it causes the hammer to fall in the gun. So let's say I were to ask you, squeeze my hand. All right, when you squeeze your hand, these tendons here activated movement in all of your fingers as well as your thumb. Right?
Because you were told to squeeze.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we have a perfectly lined up gun and we squeeze, now we've moved the gun.
Right.
Now it's no longer perfectly lined up. So let's say I were to ask you to pull the trigger. Go ahead, pull my hand.
Pull.
Okay, look at all this gross motor function of the shoulder here and the trapezoids and the
it's all
deltoids and the
happening back
biceps.
here,
Right. Okay, but we've already got the gun exactly where we want it. So we don't want any pulling. Now let's say you were standing in front of the elevator and I asked you to press the elevator button. So when we think press, our brain only activates movement to the index finger. So I say press the enter key, press the elevator button, all right? So we've got everything lined up perfectly. All we want to do at this point is just activate the movement of the trigger. And so that's why it's very important to think the right words if you want the right muscle groups called into action.
Where do we begin then?
Okay, so we begin with proper footwork, all right? Now the distance that we're going to be working with on the target here is 10 feet. Okay, this is farther than 90% of all interpersonal ballistic conflict resolution happens. Okay?
Interpersonal conflict resolution?
Yeah, I think that means killing someone.
Yeah, right. Sure does. Interpersonal ballistic conflict resolution is what I call it, or shootings, all right?
Right.
So shootings happen at distances of typically 8 feet and less. If someone's going to try to mug you, rob you, rape you, carjack you, abduct you, they've got to be close enough to talk to you. So these conversational distances, right? People don't try to steal your car at gunpoint from 100 feet away. They come right up to here and say, give me your car. So if you're going to be able to shoot your way out of a situation like this, or if that's necessary, then you have to be proficient with your firearm at this distance.
So wait, we're what, 6 feet away right now?
Yeah, we're 6 feet away.
So you're saying this and shorter is where all of it happens.
Is where all of it happens.
Wow.
Right. If you look at the FBI stats, you'll see it's all 8 feet and under.
Wow.
Typically 4 or 5 feet. And
usually
surprisingly, and if it's a law enforcement involved shooting, they will typically miss with 4 out of 5 shots.
Really?
So, well, let's say you were to take violin lessons and you went for a lesson every 6 months. Every lesson is just a review of lesson 1, right? So you never really build skills.
And then all of a sudden you're just out in Carnegie Hall and it's like, now play! And you're like,
right.
ah!
Right. And you're not going to play better just because you're under more stress.
Right.
7
Just
people
because
died at that recital.
Just because you need to shoot well doesn't mean you're going to shoot well. In fact, your performance is going to drop by at least 30% because of the stress. So you want to train really well so that you're trained up here to be able to shoot to here.
And I guess it's important, when I think of shooting, I always think like as far away as I can get the target, the better I'll feel if I'm able to hit it from far away. I guess that feels good, but you're actually training for the wrong situation. You're building the muscle memory.
Well, tactically that's good that you have an instinct to put distance between you and the thing that's going to hurt you. That helps. But in terms of your shooting skill, what you want to be able to do is to shoot quickly and accurately from close distance.
Okay, so let's start with the body position.
So let's start with body position. Let's take your, I'm going to refer to your dominant and your non-dominant side. So if you're right-handed, we'd say your right hand dominant, and right leg dominant. So are you right-handed?
Right hand, yeah.
Okay, so if you are right-handed, you're going to take your left foot and you're going to put it on a line that is directly in line with the targets. So we'd say you're going to point your left toe
I should point
at
out
the
that
target.
you sketched out what looks like the letter T with
It's a T7,
7.
yeah. I'm in the T7 gang.
I was about to say, we don't condone gang tags.
Right.
But while we're here,
I have a gang sign too, by the way.
What's
I'll
that?
teach you. It looks like this. So, I mean, it's 2 to the body, 1 to the head.
Oh, jeez.
So, your
was
left
about to mock
toes
your sign until I
point
understood
right
it.
at the target. So we have this line here. Now, if we were to take a line that went perpendicular to your foot, halfway back, right at the inseam here, and then stopping at shoulder width for you, and then coming in there 45 degrees, that's the 7. The front of your foot is going to go here, and that is your stance right there. So this is a modified Weaver stance.
a modified Weaver stance?
That's what it's called.
Okay.
It was developed by a brilliant highway engineer named Ray Chapman. And until he was 50, he designed roads and bridges and trusses and was a recreational shooter. And then he developed this shooting posture that all of a sudden allowed him to start out shooting everyone at his club, and then everyone at his estate, and then everyone in the world. So at 50, he started this second career as the founder of the Chapman Institute, teaching every 3-letter agency in the world how to shoot well.
Wow.
So this is what he came up with. This foot's at 0 degrees to the target.
Okay.
This foot's at 45 degrees to the target, just 1/2 a step behind. And the reason that we find this very desirable is that this is a position from which you can comfortably talk to someone. So, so if we were to teach cops, that you have to be like this to shoot and adjust your pants, and this foot has to be 10 foot behind that foot, it looks like you're about to shoot someone. And from a public relations standpoint, that's not a good position to stand in when you might just be, helping a distressed mom to find her kid or something.
It doesn't help diffuse anything.
Right. So if I just stand like this, it's not a totally natural position, but it's a deflective position, but it puts most of my vest in the direction of you.
But because you're so right. Like when I think shooting, I'm, like this,
Right.
like I'm about to take
So
off
if
or
you have a
something.
shooting position that's different than your normal standing posture, then it takes time to get into that position. The average time between when you shoot your gun and when you knew that you needed to shoot your gun is less than 2 seconds.
Wow.
So any extraneous stuff that you have to do is just costing you time.
That's brilliant.
All right.
2 seconds.
So we stand this way. It's called an interview position if it's just for informational purposes. Excuse me, can I talk to you for a second? Can you take your hands out of your pocket?
Yes,
All
yeah.
right. Okay, good. All right, so from this position here, right?
I don't know what to do with my
I can-
hands.
I can-
I'm just like, hey. No, I don't want to
Right.
point guns at him.
Right.
I'll just do this.
So even though people they say she had like a death stare, people don't really kill with their eyes, right?
Right.
So having eye contact's really tactically meaningless, but hand-to-eye contact is very important. I want to know where your hands are.
That's the real hand-eye coordination.
Right. Because people hurt people with their hands, right? Either with their bare hands or with a weapon in their hands or with
Or nunchucks.
right, or rolled up newspaper.
Yeah. No wall brick.
So you learn to shoot from this kind of neutral position, but in combination with the rest of the ways that we position you, it's going to get you lined up properly.
Okay.
So 0 degrees on the non-dominant side, 45 degrees, half a step back to give you a little balance control.
Yeah.
That means we're at 0, we're at 45, so your hips are now going to be at 22.5 degrees. You're going to split the difference.
Okay.
Basically, if you were to close your eyes right now and just shake your body loose, your belly would land up halfway between your feet.
Gotcha.
I'm
So
about to enjoy the new dance craze.
22 degrees here. Okay? Your
Jason.
shoulders are going to stay right over your hips.
Yep.
All right. That means that this shoulder is going to be closer to the target than this one. They're going to be angled like this.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a gun now that I have cleared. All right. And
Okay.
before I hand this to you, I'm just going to tell you 4 essential safety rules.
Okay.
Okay. First, all guns are always loaded. If this is a gun and now is part of always, then this gun is loaded. So loaded is a status for a gun, not information about whether there's bullets in it.
Schrodinger's revolver.
Loaded just means you haven't personally checked that it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
So therefore it is loaded. And
Got
we
it.
don't say act as if all guns, no, there's no as if because we're not playing make-believe, because death is for real. All guns are always loaded. It is its official status unless you personally checked it.
Got it.
And when this gun is in your hand, you're responsible for the path of the bullet.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you how this gun works. It's a revolver, and you can see inside the cylinders that there is in fact nothing in here. So this is now an unloaded gun. If I wanted to, see how does the action feel, I can do that knowing that there's not going to be a bang when I expected to hear a click. So those are 2 bad things, right? You don't want to hear bang when you thought it was going to go click, and you don't want to go click when you needed to go bang. All right, to get those right. This gun has been cleared. All right, so that's our first rule. All guns are always loaded.
Yeah.
Until you've personally checked. The second rule is never allow a gun to point at anything that you don't want to see a hole in.
Okay.
If you don't want that thing to be destroyed, don't point a gun at it. Don't let the gun point at it. Don't let someone else point a gun at it.
Right.
If someone is pointing a gun at you, you just broke the second rule because you allowed a gun to be pointed at something that you don't want to see a hole in. And I don't leave guns pointed in the direction of people because people who don't know gun safety will like, hey, that's nice, boom, and they just shot at something.
Sure.
So I at least leave the gun pointed in a safe direction.
Yeah.
Okay. The third rule is keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on the target.
Sure.
Okay, so when we hold the gun, we're holding it here. We have our grip as high on the gun as possible.
Okay.
Okay, we want the recoil coming back here, moving the whole hand back, not creating this lever here that moves the gun up.
Right.
Because we may have to solve a problem with more than one shot.
Right.
Okay, so we just want the gun moving in axis to the action, not climbing and then taking time to bring it back to where it needs to go. All right, so we're gonna go hold the gun high, these fingers here, trigger finger just lays along the side of the gun. All right, and it stays there until the sights are on the target.
Gotcha.
Okay, so sights on the target. The rear sight is this blade that has a notch on it. It's these two towers here, and they look like that.
Yep.
The front sight is a single blade, and it looks in the middle. What you're trying to do is create an equal amount of space on either side of the front sight with the top of the sights all lined up with each other.
Okay.
I didn't say put this in the center between these two. I said create an equal amount of space on either side of the front sight. And that's because your brain more rapidly detects differences in negative space than differences in positive space.
Got it.
So we're looking at the space on either side of the front sight, and we're looking to see that the top of the sights are level with each other. If that image is then superimposed over the target, you have a proper sight alignment and a proper sight picture. So sight alignment is you've lined up the sights, and sight picture is you've got your aligned sights lined up in front of the target. And then the fourth rule is to always be sure of your target and what's beyond it. We don't shoot at muzzle flash in the bush. Okay, that's a cop shooting at someone who's shooting at him that you couldn't see, right? We don't shoot at people running after somebody with knives when you don't know who the aggressor was. We don't shoot at rustling in the trees, okay? That's kids out papering your neighborhood. You only shoot when you know what the target is and you know what's beyond it. The range of a handgun bullet is about 1.5 miles.
Wow.
Okay,
That's a long way.
Yeah, so we don't say, oh, well, I was just shooting that. I didn't know that those nuns were walking orphans across the street 8 blocks away.
Which, by the way, think about relocating away from the orphanage. I don't know.
Hey, but somebody breaks in your door and you're standing in your living room shooting at your front door. You know, well, if you live across the street from a playground, you know, you're gonna have to think carefully about being able to safely park that bullet inside the body of a bad guy before you go launching it out into innocent neighborhoods.
But who's really innocent? I mean,
Okay, all right.
And do we really know the path of any other being?
true. Yeah.
Okay, so
That orphan has a great capacity for evil,
not to mention the nuns.
not to mention the nuns.
So what's happening in the upper body?
Okay,
during
so
all
the
this?
upper body. So we have the gun secured in our right hand. We have a nice firm grip around here. We're holding the gun as high as possible with no space
Yep.
here. Okay, both thumbs are always on the same side of the gun.
Okay.
This hand, these fingers here stay straight and they wrap around these fingers here with the trigger guard resting on both hands. So it's resting on this hand and it's resting on this hand.
Okay.
The trigger guard rests on the forefinger of each hand and the fingers wrap around each other. Both thumbs stay on the same side of the gun.
Like on top of each other? Like
Just
so?
like that, yeah.
Okay.
Not so critical for your own safety when you're handling a revolver, but if you're handling a semi-automatic and you bring that thumb across, you're gonna chew into that bone unpleasantly.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna get this gun here, something's gotta give, right? And it's gonna be that elbow. Okay, so this arm is gonna be straight but not locked.
okay.
And this elbow is gonna be bent down, straight down from the gun. So as the gun wants to climb, this is hanging on here like a big weight resisting the muzzle climb.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
The other thing is you've got 26 little bones in here. This is an amazing device for painting, for conducting an orchestra, for expressing yourself. Not a great stable platform for launching bullets from.
Got it.
So we want to basically deactivate the wrist from being a wrist. And so what we do is we push and pull. You push with the right hand, you pull back with the left hand. That locks these bones together so that when muzzle energy comes flowing through here, instead of banging the bones into each other like Newton balls.
Yep.
Okay, the energy just flows smoothly up into this big bicep here.
Got it.
Doesn't bother anybody. And then the last thing we want to do is we want to bring you over your hips so that if you were standing against a fence, you could look over and see if there was a chewing gum wrapper on
Boy,
this side.
this is the part that
Okay.
seems super counterintuitive to me. Because
Yeah.
that is not the way I would think would be the right way to stand.
So what this does is it puts your weight centered up on the ball of your forward foot so that you have positive balance. You don't want neutral balance, and you certainly don't want negative balance.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you're about to do something that generates some energy moving this direction.
Got it.
So you have a little bit of recoil. The recoil you're gonna experience feels about like this.
Oh, it's
Okay.
substantial, yeah.
Well, that's not gonna knock you over. And the amount of energy that the bullet has is equal to the amount of recoil that you experience. So if Newton's laws apply everywhere all the time, and every action has an equal and opposite reaction, the bullet has exactly the same energy as the recoil coming your way. Part of that energy is used up in the form of inertia. What does it take to get the gun moving back? Right? And the gun is heavy and the bullet is light. The tip of the bullet is about 1/50th of the size of the back of the grip of the gun.
Okay.
So you have a 50-to-1 pressure ratio, which is why the same amount of energy coming out each side doesn't hurt you, but does hurt them. Because you've reduced the surface area of that energy down to 1/4 of an inch versus 3 square inches. So you take this much energy and you focus that all onto one teeny little tip, then you get penetration on this side and you get a slight rock back on this side. Right?
Math.
So this arm is straight, this arm is back. Just stand up totally straight. Brian, I want you to watch Jason's feet. Ready?
Yeah,
we got
right
rock back.
Yeah.
Okay? So rock back, when you feel like you're about to fall, you're worried about falling. And I don't want you to have to worry about anything except shot placement. Okay? So you're gonna keep this forward, boom. Now I can hit you all day long, we're not getting any rock back. All
Yeah.
right? So now all you have to focus on is keeping your sights centered on the center of the target there.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to trigger control. So bring that gun up again, put your finger on the trigger. You're gonna gently increase the pressure on the trigger while you continue perfecting your sight alignment. So gently press the trigger straight back in your hand, move the trigger, and continue to align your sights while the trigger's moving. And then at one point, by surprise, the gun will go off. Okay?
Well, that's interesting. You don't know that one moment. All you know is that you're going to be ready when it does.
Right, you just know that you're increasing the pressure on the trigger while continuing to perfect your sight alignment. It's a very Zen thing. You don't
Yeah.
say, I'm gonna shoot the gun. No, I'm gonna work on process,
Right.
and the results will take care of themselves.
Wow.
So the process is I'm just gonna keep increasing the pressure and keeping myself focused in the right place.
And if you're
Got it.
focused on that, that's kind of a zen that slows things down for you, I
does.
imagine, rather than the adrenaline of
Well,
the single instant
When
action.
someone's trying to kill you, your brain's been designed to
Fight or flight.
yeah, it's gonna slow perception down immensely. So this gunfight that all the witnesses are gonna say, you know, it was over in 3 seconds, you're just like, I don't know, 15 minutes or something?
Yeah.
Which is a really important point. There's a whole cocktail of chemicals released in your body when someone is trying to kill you, and if you survive. So you've got all of that adrenaline, you've got the dopamine, you've got chemicals that are really happy that you're still alive.
Tequila.
Right?
Oh, geez,
and
uh-oh.
all this stuff going on there, plus someone trying to kill you. This doesn't create an ideal circumstance for learning. So if I wanted you to learn a formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and I want you to be able to retain that and remember it accurately, I wouldn't try to kill you while I was trying to teach you that, right? Because you're gonna get it all backwards. And yet people end up, you know, in a shooting circumstance, trying to save their lives, and then they think that they're in a state of mind where they could accurately recount to the police what happened.
Yeah, sure.
Murder,
And
not conducive to learning.
Yeah, every detail will be wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. When the police are involved in a shooting and they get the details wrong, it's, you know, it's a traumatic exposure. Okay. If you get the details wrong, you're lying to the police. So if you end up in a situation where you have to use a firearm to defend yourself, like silence. What you don't say can never be used against you, and everything that you do say will be used against you.
So the answer
It doesn't
is
mean
always-
you've done anything wrong. It means my name is Brian Brushwood and I want to talk to my attorney. And if there's any information that's necessary for officer safety at the time, then add that in. There's 2 of them and they're still in the house.
Right.
That's nice of you to say. But anything else is going to be, you know, it's like, I fired twice. Okay, well, it turns out, you know, you fired till you were empty. And then you reloaded and fired again. You know, you don't know. Everything you remember about it is wrong until those chemicals leave your system. But you won't even have the opportunity to keep your mouth shut if you don't get your shots on target. So
Yeah.
let's go. We'll focus on staying alive first.
It's a big one on my list.
Stay alive.
Stay alive.
It's probably
Stay alive,
like
yeah.
close to the top.
Right. Okay, so let's see. Your footwork is perfect.
Okay.
Your hips, your
Yep.
shoulders.
And then
this arm is straight. This elbow comes straight to
Oh
the
yeah,
ground.
that's what I keep forgetting.
Right. You know what? If I'm shooting at you right now, I've got to go through all that bone before I can get to your vitals. Okay. This becomes a vest as well.
You put it that way.
Okay. Good. Finger on the trigger. Gently press the trigger straight back in your hand. Don't move the gun. Just the trigger. Very nice. Okay. So ears all around.
Oh.
Going hot. So Jason, the only difference between this gun now and before is that it has a little bit of useless ammo in it that we're gonna turn into valuable brass. If you would just take this hand, cup that. Let's look at your feet, your hips, your center of gravity, that elbow pointing to the ground, pushing with this hand, pulling with this hand, looking through the rear sight at the front sight. Your eyes are just like a camera. They can't focus on 3 different things at the same time. You could either focus on the rear sight, the front sight, or the target, but something's gonna be blurry. So focus on the front sight.
Okay.
All right, and that's the compromise that makes it all work. Move your finger to the trigger, and without moving the gun, just gently press the trigger straight back in your hand. Bring this in a little lower so you get a little more leverage. Ease the trigger back. Don't move the gun, just the trigger. And gently press the trigger straight back in your hand. Good, that's beautiful. You can do the same thing again. Gently press the trigger straight back in your hand. And there's the bullseye that I promised you.
Dead solid, perfect. That was amazing.
Way to go.
Dude.
You're traveling in good company
Delivered
here.
on the goods. If you can teach this trade
Yeah.
monkey, you can teach anyone.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
kidding me?
I'm a clown with giant fumbling meat hands.
Yeah, well, you're also a bullseye hitting son of a gun.
That was incredible.
All right. You're
Like,
up.
oh yeah, all right,
You're
all right.
up,
See what
Taylor.
if I can remember.
All right.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
easy.
So T7, this right here,
Yeah.
this right here,
This comes up a little more.
a little bit more.
Yeah, so that the front of this foot lines up with the instep of that.
And this knee can be bent a
Yeah,
little
they're
bit. or-
slightly, they're slightly relaxed.
Okay.
You're gonna have to get that lean.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Grip,
Okay.
finger stays outside.
Yep.
High grip, fingers,
Pull it
both
in
thumbs
there.
on the same side of the gun.
Okay.
This arm is straight, this elbow's bent to the
there
ground.
you
we
go.
So
Oh,
it's
that's so much
so
better.
bent that I should be able to get my hand in here
Got
like
it.
that, okay?
Okay.
It's pretty aggressive. And then you're gonna push with this hand and pull back with that hand.
Okay. Ready?
Okay, so you're gonna gently press the trigger straight back in your hand. Don't move the gun, just the trigger. Focus on the front sight. Continue to get the front sight lined up in the center. Good.
Got it.
Let's see it again. Gently press the trigger. Lean forward slightly more.
Okay. Got it.
Right, because when we go like that, we don't want this, I don't want to see that rock
Got
back,
it, got it. Okay, ready.
So yeah,
Yep.
lean forward a little more. There we go. Let's
got
see.
it. Boy, it
Feel
feels
that?
so strange.
Yeah, but look how solid you are
Yeah,
now,
it really
right?
is.
All right, so now we'll put one in that's slightly louder than the ones that are in there
Sure.
before. Obviously, the reason that I'm not putting it in first up
Yep.
is because I don't want you to react to the recoil before anything happens.
Right.
So actually, the training academies that have had to go through police school with no ammo,
Right.
because their nations were at war, those officers actually shot better than the ones who had learned with live ammo.
Wow.
You actually don't need ammo to become a really good shooter. I recommend like using live ammo for every 7th training,
Okay.
and the rest of them you do in your bathroom with a carefully cleared gun.
Wow. Great. Okay. So I'm going.
All right, elbows down here
yep,
like that. Good, not too much, gentle, relax. Press with here, pull back with here. Gently press the trigger straight back in your hand. Take your time with it, ease it back, good. Good, okay, a lot of shake.
You know what it is I got that adrenaline rush because the pressure's on, and
Okay.
I feel that.
No
that
pressure.
You
no
get
Also,
pressure.
all the
No,
cocaine.
think of this as this is a single shot pistol match.
Got it.
Okay? So every time you fire, it's a one-shot match. So all that matters is putting the bullet where it matters.
All right,
okay?
leaning
because
forward.
tactically, until you put a bullet where it matters, you're just wasting time. You can't miss fast enough to win.
Okay. Ready.
Gently press, good. Good, gently press, good. Gently press, good.
Wow.
Nice work. There you go.
Wow, that was amazing.
Excellent.
Because I definitely was having a case of the nerves, which I guess
Right.
is even better because that's realistically how you're gonna be.
Yeah.
Right.
But by focusing on just like, it was kind of bobbing, but it's like, keep it right there, keep it right there. And,
Yeah.
and it really is. It's the equivalent to keeping your eye on the center of the road while you're depressing the accelerator, and then
Yep.
just at some point it pops.
Right.
God, that was amazing.
It's like we learned when we were studying Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at ACES. Every little thing is additive, and each one that you have just perfect adds to the likelihood of you hitting the target.
Yeah, correct. So even though I had the adrenaline rush and was getting the tremor, everything else
Of course
was
the
in
adrenaline's
balance.
gonna be there,
So
right.
it hit there, yeah.
Right. And when we
Wow.
do advanced tactical training, you'll be here shooting this way, and I'm gonna be over here shooting a shotgun this way, putting you right downrange of my muzzle blast.
Just to
Just
rattle
to get
me.
that realistic, right? So you want to train under those conditions. So when you get that jolt of adrenaline, when someone is trying to kill you, you're like, oh, this isn't something new. I practiced with this. I know what to do.
There's a process.
It is
Yeah.
astonishing when you put all the pieces in together. Like even for me, it felt like less than ideal conditions. But damn if it didn't work, you did it.
All right.
You did the impossible.
Well, I want to show you one more thing.
okay.
I want to show you that of all these things that we did that favor getting the bullets where you want them to land, you can actually get all of them wrong if you get the last 2 right. So we talked about putting my non-dominant foot here and this here, right? Let's say I get it backwards. Let's say I got this foot here, and instead of getting this foot here, I got this foot here. So now, like, I'm shaky, right? I don't have a good base. Let's say instead of taking the gun with 2 hands on a proper push-pull isometric grip, I hold the gun with 1 hand. Let's say instead of grabbing the gun properly, I got hold of the gun upside down. All right? Instead of shooting it with my index finger, I shot with my pinky. Could I still hit the target? Getting everything wrong.
Oh God, I hope so.
I don't know. Camera guys are awfully close, but we're gonna find out. All right, so if I get everything wrong, but I maintain good sight alignment and good trigger control, I could probably still outshoot you guys.
Wow!
With a center shot. All right.
That is one dead target. Oh, Steve
Right.
Wolf, you're a champion. That was freaking amazing.
Thanks for coming out here to play, Brian.
Oh, absolutely.
Jason,
So
great
we
work.
can see more of your stuff over at stuntscience.tv, right?
Stuntscience.tv, yep.
And of course, check out the Stunt Ranch. Man, that was great.
Yeah, that's fun.